Hey guys, so I am actually going to be watching another movie, and I wanted to get this one done because I've had it for a little while. It's actually M. Did not know that was actually in German, so it's going to be interesting to watch. I do know I read a book that actually looks into the actual stories behind real life stories behind some of these horror movies. I did read about him and how I believe it's a lot of the main character in this, the villain. He is based on a lot of serial killers that were about in this time period, not just in like the United States, but in other countries as well. But it's in German, so I think it might be German. I don't know, but I thought it'd be interesting to watch. So let's get right on into it. The more macabre version of Duck Duck Goose.
50 Mal kannst du den Jörn verbieten, das verdammte Mörderlied zu singen. Den ganzen Tag wurden sie ihnen in den Ohren. Als ob man nicht schon genug von dem Mörder zu hören kriegte.
Oh, at least you don't know. You know, as long as you hear them singing, you know they aren't dead.
Du hast aber einen schönen Ball.
Interesting way of exposition without actually telling us about it. Actually having people say it. And of course, great way of keeping the murderer's identity hidden just by showing them a shadow instead of a actual guy. I do recognize the actor, but I did not know that he knew German. I'm so used to him being in English movies. Isn't that an Inspector Gadget song? I'm assuming it's based on a classical song or classical music that Inspector Gadget took inspiration from. Or I'm just crazy. She only had the kid. Does she have a husband? Because he only sat in one place. It is interesting to see how the news spread during that time. It's like, had to print out all the newspapers and run around giving people newspapers. I always love when they take classical, well familiar tunes and put them in horror movies, because all I do is just associate them with horror movies. Whatever horror movie they use it in. It's like the X-Files when they used the song, like All the Pretty Little Horses, whatever that song was called. Now I can only think of that X-Files. What the fuck is he smoking? It's like he's smoking a cigarette or cigar with a pipe. Is it the more manly version of, those things that the rich ladies would use to smoke a cigarette? The Cruella de Vil. Reminds me of Albert Fish, the murderer. He kind of portrayed himself as a really grandfatherly gentleman, and a lot of the victim, children that eventually went missing. Children were very comfortable with let him just take the children because, he put on this air of just innocence.
Ein Skandal sondergleich.
It's kind of a no-win situation, because they tell you to print the letter, and if he doesn't, then he'll go and kill him, and or not print the letter, or print the letter. I mean, it caused mass hysteria, but it might, reveal something. Someone might be able to figure something out about the killer so that they could help him, catch him faster.
Klammer, am deutlichsten in dem Worte bald, dritte Zeile von unten, Klammer zu, haben Sie?
What's it called? Click, where you actually try to figure out someone by the way they write. I don't remember what it's called. Using all the like techniques.
Gut! Schluss! Hat ja keinen Zweck. Ich danke Ihnen, meine Herren. Bitte! Der nächste.
It does show kind of the problems with trying to figure out, find a killer, because quite often the witnesses, they're always contradicting accounts of what people saw. Sometimes people will lie to get attention from, say, the media or the police. I did also notice that there's no background music in the movie. I'm assuming they're doing like I guess you could say a lockdown, making everyone stay in their homes so they can search.
Menschen, noch kein Handgeld!
Is this like a brothel? Trying to figure out why everybody is trying to run out. You really can just arrest everyone. And what does having papers prove?
Alex.
Welcher?
Weiter, der nächste.
Seems like they're just trying to find reason to take everyone down there.
Zwischen dem, den die Kriminalpolizei sucht, und zwischen uns, da ziehen wir einen dicken Strich. Da ist Schluss. Jawohl. Wir üben unseren Beruf aus, weil wir existieren müssen. Aber diese Bestie hat kein Recht zu existieren. Die muss weg. Die muss ausgerottet werden.
I'm assuming they're like the robbers, the bank robbers or whatever. And they're trying to justify why they're different than him.
Großen Wert darauf legen, mit diesem Schwein nicht in einen Topf geworfen zu werden. Dass die Polente diesen Kerl ganz woanders suchen sollte als bei uns. Das ist doch gar kein richtiger Ganove.
Das ist vielleicht ein Mensch, der
I'm sure that will go over well with the
außerhalb
cops.
des überall hinkommen, ohne Aufsehen zu erregen. Die jedem auf der Straße nachgehen können, ohne aufzufallen. Die jedem Kind in jedes Haus folgen können, ohne Misstrauen zu erwecken. Mit einem Wort, Menschen, die unmöglichen Verdacht des Mörders erregen können.
Aber wer? Aber solche gibt's doch gar nicht.
Na, wer kann denn da?
Wer?
Wer? Die Bettler. Die Organisation der Bettler.
They have an organization for beggars.
Gut.
Was kommt jetzt?
So
Hauptstraße 89.
they're sending all the beggars. Are these the police sending the beggars to, I don't know, keep an eye out or spy, or is this just an organization of beggars that go and beg and then they bring everything back and then divide it? Yeah, you'd be surprised how many serial killers had run into the police, either because they killed before, like with Henry Lee Lucas. He killed his mother and served time, but eventually, well, he says that he killed like countless people. But I think Albert Fish, the one I mentioned before, he also had time in the mental asylum, but then I think it's because it was voluntary. He checked himself in, so he was able to leave. Later killed.
Nummer 24, Beckert. Städtischer Kurier wird nicht gehalten. Tisch, Mahagoni poliert mit Plüsch.
So they're trying to figure out what newspaper, who has the newspaper that he contacted to print his letter. Wonder if he's gonna recognize him.
Na so. Das habe ich doch schon mal gehört.
Is he actually blind? I know one of the other guys wasn't. Okay, so that was M. And it kind of took an unexpected turn in that it was actually criminals that captured the dude, and, well, police eventually get him back at the end, but, they were determining whether or not he should actually be put to death for what he's done, whether or not he's actually, I guess, in control, who's right and who's wrong, and all of that. And all I can think is that, was there really any difference between the criminals and what they were going to do? And then also, the what would you call them? Like the lawful, I guess you could say, people Because ultimately the only difference is that, I mean, what determines whether or not you're lawful? Because there's so much shit going on, and there's so much corruption in the government today, so many fucking assholes, and yet, you know, they make these laws which you can consider lawful, but are they lawful because they make the laws? And if the lawful judges determine whether or not this guy should be put to death, is that right? Should it be accepted simply because it was the normal society that determined so? It's kind of you, and also you did kind of see a more sympathetic light with the murderer, because I noticed when he was looking in the store window and he saw the reflection of the girl, you could see that he was, you know, he was struggling. He started whistling, you know, as he saw her, and I think that's really a tell about when he is getting ready to kill. And then he, when the girl ends up getting taken by her mother, he goes and, you know, you can tell he's struggling, and so I do feel like they tried to put more like sympathetic light on him as to whether or not he was in control of this and all that. Like I mentioned before, I read the book. It's called Deviant. I believe that's what it's called. It's about Albert Fish. He was kind of an older, looked like a gentleman, more grandfatherly figure who kidnapped, I think at least one he admitted to, but he was, there were a few other kids that he was believed to have killed, but eventually he gets caught, and they kind of put him on trial, and the dude who was defending him actually believed he was insane, that he could not control what he did, and so it would not be right to kill the man if he could not control what he did. And they ultimately ended up killing him. But I'm wondering if that kind of took inspiration. This movie took inspiration from that. I think those killings took place in like 1910s, somewhere around this. I think this movie probably said the depression, it mentioned depression, so I think, I don't know, I'm kind of sucked when it comes to history, but I think this takes place after that, so I'm not sure if that takes inspiration from this, or this takes inspiration from that. It was still an interesting movie. I did not, the ending, you know, with the criminals and everybody going after him, I did not expect that, and it was pretty intense, scene, so, yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts on M, so yeah, if you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe to get notifications for all the videos I'll be doing, and you guys have a nice night. Stay safe out there. I'll talk to you later. Bye.